Welcome back to the Wizard Shop, and today we're going to take a look at my newest acquisition. I actually bought Hoovie's SS Silverado. Let's take a look at it. So many of you who watch Hoovie's Garage have seen this truck in his videos. He purchased it for, I don't remember how much money, $5,000 or something. And it needed lots of work. It had lots of rust and crust, and it still has a little bit of rust. It had a lot of different issues going on. We did fix it up, and when he came to pick up the truck and pay the bill, because you guys know I don't let him leave without paying the bill, or anyone for that matter.
Except me.
Yeah, we could let you go.
Thanks.
I handed him the bill, and he said, "Well, that's kind of a little bit more than I was hoping to spend." He understood why it was cost as much as it did. He's like, "I don't even know what I'm going to do with this truck. I bought it, we did the work, we got it running and driving happy again." I said, "I tell you what, I'll give you your money back that you spent buying it, and I'll just clear out the bill. You don't owe anything." So he got to make the money off the videos, off of this thing, and didn't have any investment in the video at all. So it worked out for him, and I got this really sweet truck for a really good deal. So all in, it's roughly $10,000 for a rusted old 2005 SS Silverado. But do keep in mind, these go on Bring a Trailer with low miles and perfect shape for $30,000. As much or more probably when it was new. Check it out yourself. Go to Bring a Trailer. I just looked myself and I was astounded. 27, 37, it's almost 40 grand for one of them. So it's really not that bad of a deal, even though it's in rough shape. Let's go ahead and take a look around it. There's lots of things still wrong with it. This looks like your typical 2005 Silverado in the front, but there are a lot of things that denote that it's an SS. A lot of it is the front bumper cover and these chrome, it looks like air intakes or something. Well, normally you'd see fog lights or something. It's like air scoops. And when you see this in the rearview mirror, you know this isn't your typical Silverado. It's something different about it. We'll go around to the side here. So it has decent wheel right here. It has nice tires all the way around. And the body is dirty and everything. We've been actually using this truck. Some of the wheels are missing the center caps, and you'll see that here in a minute. And these need to be replaced because they rattle when you go down the road. As you can see here, it's an SS. Here's a scrape. Something happened here in the past. It also pulled away some of the body cladding. It needs to be glued back on. And as we go to this wheel, you can see the center cap is missing. It's got some Nitto tires on it, and they are in good shape. And around to the back, there's some dents and scratches and things on the tail lights. The bumper is in decent shape. The bed is also in decent shape. Here's some scrapes or something that happened here.
Wizard, I'm shocked. You have left the tow hitch lowered, bolted to the truck. That is such a shin killer.
Yep, that definitely could if you walk around the truck and you're not watching.
Yes.
You can see the center cap is all bubbled. The chrome is coming apart on it, or peeling, I should say.
So is the inside of the wheel.
Yep, the chrome is peeling. That's a typical thing with all the chrome wheels at early 2000s. This was the style. And nowadays, it doesn't matter if it's a Porsche or a Chevy or a Ferrari, the chrome is peeling off. Lots of little scratches and things along the side. Looks like a bird relieved him or herself, or itself, I should say, all over the window. Cladding is peeling a little bit right there, but not too bad. Let's go ahead and open the hood. Now, once I open the hood, you'll see it looks like a basic LS-based truck motor, Vortec, but it is not. That is not a 5.3, that is not a 4.8. That is a 6-liter that you find in a 3/4 ton, or even some of the 1 tons, but 345 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque. It's got really good power. you get on this thing when you're driving it, it surprises you, because I'm used to driving these trucks with 5.3s and they seem kind of lazy until the RPMs get up there. But this thing, it just goes. You say, you want to go? Let's go, buddy. And it goes. It doesn't play around. I'm not a fan of this intake or these air filters. I don't like them. This is not a turbo supercharged race only motor. That's not necessary for a stock engine, but it's there. I'm not going to put a bunch more money into this thing because of the rust situation, so it works. It'll do the job. So it is missing the cover. You can see in the back there's two little hooks. It's supposed to have a Vortec cover on it. I don't know where it is. It's been gone for who knows how long. But it starts and runs good. Everything drives fine. So as you can see on the latch, just like when Hoovie got the truck, it is severely rusted. But it's still strong. I'm not going to mess with it. Like I said, we're going to use it to haul stuff and pull trailers. I'm not looking to restore this thing. And once we look underneath, you'll see it's really not worth restoring. It would take 30 grand to restore this thing. So it still holds, it still works fine. I'm going to leave that alone. As with the 4.8 or the 5.3, the one thing I love about these newer Chevy trucks, they are so easy to work on. There's tons of room between the radiator and a water pump. You can get to the belt really easy. I can pull the whole top half of this motor apart and not get mad, not throw wrenches, not get pissed off. They actually are very easy to work on. So let's go ahead and let Mrs. Wizard give you guys a tour of the interior, the ratty interior.
Okay, here we go, ladies, gents. Look at that odometer. 191,213 miles. So just on the cusp of that 200,000 mark. Up, looks like we've got a service airbag light on there as well. So I think he'll probably discuss that in a second. Up, your washer fluid's also there, low there, dude. Man, this thing's falling apart. But as we zoom out just a little bit, normal gauge cluster for a Chevy. Easy to use, easy to read. Dash is looking okay. Actually, with all those miles on it, there's no cracks. There's no major, problems. It's not, splitting apart. There's no Grand Canyon up there. Nothing major going on. Just a very simple gray plastic interior. We do look at our radio and our HVAC system. And again, simple to use, but it does have the SS decal noting the model it is. As we move down, we can see nice little cubby spots as well, and lots of spots for whatnots, I guess key fobs, drinks, whatever. Good spot also on the armrest, which is looking in good shape, not falling apart. And even though Wizard said that this thing is kind of shabby in here, it's actually very utilitarian. As we look at the seat, it does have SS noted on the headrest there. And the door card is looking good as well, probably because it's all made of plastic. But the plastic isn't broken or anything like that, so it's in good shape. The door handles actually work nicely. They haven't separated from the actual door itself, so they close quite firmly. As we move to that back seat, it is pretty good size. I mean, if the person in the front seat would scoot forward a little bit, there's actually some decent leg room back there. So this does hold 5 people in it. There's that center console section in the front does not fold up, so it is just 2 seats in the front. As we roll up to our headliner though, this is where we're going to see that issue. Got a few marks up there. Looks like somebody ate a chocolate bar, touched up by the gripper. But right over there, definitely have some issues with the whole part coming down, probably a little bit of leaking as well, so it's a little crusty over there on that side. So not so pretty, awfully dirty, so could definitely use some cleaning. As we look at the driver's side, we do see a similar situation where it is coming down, but again, he'll probably just tuck that up, maybe put some pins in it. I'd use some nice just simple T-pins, hold that in place and be done with it, because again, it's not worth, we all know how hard it is to get a headliner out of a car. And again, we're not going to be doing that with this one, especially since it does have the extra complication of added sunroof. As we end up at our steering wheel, like we always do, good controls on the steering wheel to keep our focus on that road in front of us and not figuring out where things are in the car. Hopefully we can memorize where things are to just turn up that radio and whatnot. Biggest concern here is looks like we have some sun damage on our steering wheel where it has definitely come apart. But again, not going to fix it. Could be easily fixed. Just put one of those covers over the top of it, put a different leather wrap on it. It should be fine. So His interior isn't as bad as I think we're going to see on the underneath. But being that this is going to be our hauler truck, getting things from A to B, it's looking pretty good. But let's see what it looks like underneath.
So we didn't see a whole lot of rust on the top end, but there was a lot on the bottom. And as you saw in Hoovie's garage, where we had the bed off of this truck, we actually had to cut cross members out and replace them. They were so rusted, I don't even know how the fuel tank was being held up. It was being held up by debris, pieces of rust, basically. It was really scary. So it has new cross members welded in, but it's still pretty rusty. Let's take a look. We did put an undercoating on it to stop whatever rust there is. We didn't put a ton of money into it to wire brush it and repaint it or anything, but just enough to stop the rust getting worse. You can see right here, the oil pan is nice and dry, luckily. There's not a whole lot of leaks or anything going on there. We did put new shocks on it. Sway bar links are still good, amazingly. The brakes are still good. Nothing's loose. Our CV boot here is good, but this one could be replaced. You can see it's torn. Again, it's not slinging grease or anything bad. I'm not going to mess with it right now. Once that CV joint gives me trouble, then I'll take it apart and fix it. This one's still intact. This one's good. And the brakes are good here. Everything's looking good as far as steering. The sway bar links are good. And a new shock, like I mentioned. No rear main seal leaks or anything bad going on back here. Oil pan and transmission where they join together is nice and dry. This is an all-wheel drive model, and everything seems good there. Here's our cats. CV shaft is good there. Here's our all-wheel drive transfer case. As you can see, there is no transfer case motor on it. It doesn't change from four-wheel drive to two-wheel drive and back and forth. It's all the time all-wheel drive. Now this is a girthy shaft, Mrs. Wizard.
Wow, that is impressive.
Wow. You can see some of the rust going on up in here. It's still pretty bad. This cross member is pretty crusty, but it's still there, still intact. More rust over here. I did have some new exhaust, and these are Street Max. I think they're made by Allied Muffler. Had those put on, and there's dual exhaust out the back, as you can see. Sounds really good now. The old exhaust system was completely just gone, rusted out. You can see some crusty rust on the cab right there, but that's not structural, luckily, really. So here's our cross member that we welded in, and it actually holds the charcoal canister. I need to replace that one. I have another one here. If I can get that one off here pretty quick, I'll show you guys and replace it real quick. But when we go to put gas in it, it just keeps clicking on the gas pump. I know that that's plugged when I see that. Here's also a new cross member we welded in. You can see the new shocks, they bolt to that. Has some new tank straps. To give you an idea how bad the tank straps, you can look at this shield. It's pretty crusty, and the straps were the same. Again, I don't even know how in the world it was being held up. It's really crazy. And here we are at the rear axle. Here's an idea of how rusty it was. Look at this, guys. Yuck. Pads are good, the rotors are good, nothing's leaking back here. It's got new shocks. Pads are good there, nothing leaking on this side. Everything's good there. This piece is still in decent shape. I'll just use it as it is for now. You can see this one is looking pretty bad. Pretty crusty, guys. I told you it was pretty rusty under here. So before we get this on the ground, I'll try to get the old charcoal canister out real quick. So the last time that we've tried to fill this up, every time that we would try to fill it up, it just kept clicking the nozzle on the fuel island, I guess you would call it. And I knew right away the canister is bad. We probably should have replaced it when we had the bed off, but I didn't know that that was a problem. And Hoovie let me know after the fact, oh yeah, it never would fill up. I'm like, that would have been nice. But anyways, I have a new one here. Let's go ahead and get this one out of here. Take all these hoses off. I've got them all disconnected. I'm just pulling them off. There's 3. I've got this bolt undone. Get these hoses out of the way. So here's the old one, and it feels really heavy, like it's contaminated or something. But basically what a charcoal canister does is while your car is sitting there in your garage, the fuel vapors don't fill up your garage with nasty fuel smell. The vapors go into this. Then once you start your engine a day or 2 later, it opens some valves and pulls those vapors out and burns them instead of letting them off into the air. Now, it is a government-mandated emissions thing to even have this on a car, but just like my 1954 Plymouth, it doesn't have one of these. It never had one of these. So when I park it in my garage, it smells like someone spilled gas all over the place. That's just the way they did it back then. The vapors of the fuel tank just vent to the air. Nobody thought anything of it back then, but that's not acceptable today. So as you're filling up with fuel, the vapors go in through this port right here. It should freely flow into the charcoal. It's like an activated carbon in here. But this one doesn't flow freely. It does not move very much air at all. This one's clogged. So that's why when it starts to fill up with gas, it can't move any air through the canister, and it clicks on the pump. On the nozzle, I should say. Let's get the new one. Here's the brand new one. It's just a Dorman aftermarket charcoal canister, but I will blow into this one now. It just blows really easily right out of here. Listen. That's the way it should be. Again, this one is completely clogged.
Don't do that, Wizard. Don't get yourself an aneurysm.
Okay. Kind of like a bagpipe.
That sounded like a moose dying.
Okay. Well, let's get this thing onto the truck. That on. There we go. Now we'll put the hoses back on. Spray some silicone onto the ports so it goes on nice and easy. We'll reuse our quick clip here. Plug this one on. We'll snap this one on. And slap this one on there. I'm missing the clip for this, but a zip tie goes through and it'll work perfectly. Just keeps it from coming back off again. So that was a lot harder than it needed to be because everything's so rusty, everything is crusty, and it's an old truck with high miles on it. But it's back together, everything's hooked on, it's not coming apart, and now we'll be able to put fuel in the fuel tank without it constantly clicking on the handle. So let's get this thing on the ground. So yes, you just caught the wizard in his non-natural habitat of actually doing repairs on a car. Now during the day, throughout the week, I have mechanics do the work. I run the shop. But a lot of people have complaints in the comment section. We don't never get to see any actual wrenching going on. But that is not the goal of this channel. This is not a wrenching channel. I know Legit Street Cars or Wrench Every Day, those guys focus on showing you the wrenching. They show you things coming apart a lot more. And if that's what you're into, go to one of those guys. Those channels will satisfy that need that you have. This channel is about what is it like to run a shop? How much does it cost for things to get repaired? What's a good car? What's a bad car? Which car should I run away from? Also, what is it like dealing with customers, dealing with estimates, all those things like that. Basically the life of running a shop. That's what this channel is. And you guys get to see some really cool cars. There's stuff that comes through the shop that even amazes me. It's really cool stuff. So this thing is very rusty and crusty, but for what I paid for it and what we're going to use it for, it'll work just fine. We're going to use it, like I said, to haul stuff, haul limbs, haul trash, pull a trailer. It's not going to be used very much at all. And for what we need it for, it'll do perfect. But I wanted to show you guys one more thing. I just scanned Bring a Trailer. And this is crazy, guys. A 2005 Silverado SS, a red version, with only 60 miles on it. $62,000. That's not what they were asking, guys. It says right there it's sold for that much. Of course, I know this is not that car, but this shows how crazy the prices are going anymore. That's why I bought the Charger the way I did. And you guys are going to be seeing another video on that pretty soon. But I got it for $3,000 and needed some work, and there's been some great updates on that. But the prices of everything, guys, are so crazy. Who would have ever thought that one of these with very, very low miles would go for over 60 grand? The $10,000 I spent on this is really pales in comparison to what that thing went for. But this one's also a rust bucket. So I think I can't complain for the price for what we need it for. So I'm glad you guys could follow along and let us check this thing over. I showed you how to do a charcoal canister and what it does, why it's there. If you're curious what kind of tools we use actually to do this job we just did, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut and we really appreciate it. And make sure to hit the subscribe button because there's so many more cool videos to come. Thanks for watching.